Hello and welcome to another Outlaw walkthrough. Today we are going to be discussing all the different functionalities you have for doing any formatting within your template in Outlaw. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first things to notice when we are actually in one of our templates, and if you don't know how to go there, you just go back out to your Outlaw, go to your template section and click into one of your templates. This is my test template here. We can go ahead and put the name on here and show our nice letterhead. So if you want to customize any of the formatting here, maybe you want to add in numbering, or you want to bold something, center the text. We're going to be talking about all that today up here. Most of it's pretty straightforward, but it's good to just do another walkthrough as well. So the first thing here is I'm working in my template. I decide that I want this first line to be bolded. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. I can come in here. I can also italicize it. I can underline it. And something you will notice is that while I have that selected and that made changes to that one line, if I were to come over here and change how it is aligned, it's going to align the whole paragraph, not just that one line. So to work around that, if we just wanted this one line to be added, and let's just maybe drop this down over here. And we are restarting now. So if you just wanted this one line to be centered, that's not a problem either. We'll just have to start a new paragraph. So we can come ahead right behind this passenger, hit enter. This is going to move this down and it's going to start a new paragraph for us so that these can operate separately. So then I would just come back up here and I could just move that over to center line, and then that is fine. I can also come up here. Let's take out those extra paragraph spacers. And then now maybe on this next paragraph, I want to do an indent here. I can go ahead and move that over. If I need to move it back, you can just decrease the indent here. It's that simple. I might need to actually move down this whole paragraph. There's not a drag and drop feature, so you will have to move this down manually, or if you need to move it all the way down to your document and you don't have to do that, you can always just come up here, copy it, and then we could come down here, start a new paragraph at the end just by hitting enter, and then I can hit enter again just to be in the body of the paragraph and move it down there that way. Now say, okay, I put this in the wrong area. Maybe I don't need this paragraph anymore. I can come up here to the top and I can actually delete this section. Would just have to delete confirm here. Then it is gone. I can't get it back. So definitely use that with caution. And you can always, if you needed to, maybe if you wanted to just move this up, you can still copy it again, and then we can delete it and then paste it somewhere else. So those are all options there. And let's move that back there. Then as far as numbering, we can come in here. From this drop down, we can actually change the numbering depending on how we need it. We can also do these different bullets or hyphens, and then we can even come in here and set up our custom level numbering, which is really great feature depending on your workflow or different things like that. So for this one, let's just go ahead and keep it 1, 2, 3. The nice thing is if we were to come in here and add another paragraph, it automatically keeps the numbering, so I can enter as many of these as I want and it's going to go down. Now maybe the second paragraph, I actually want to indent it, and we can show what happens then. This will then move underneath that one, so it's going to be 1A, and it's going to start and basically assume that it is connected to this one above. And then you can also come up here, and if you want it to stay with numbers instead of doing like 1A, you can always do 1, 1 or something like that. And then this one will continue numbering. We talked about this before in our conditionalities loom. If you haven't watched that, definitely check it out. But we can go ahead and show what happens when you add a conditionality to a numbered paragraph in Outlaw. So we are on this one. To add a conditionality, we need to navigate over to section. We'll come here. Let's just add in our offices. Let's just say it's Arizona. So now you can see this one was number 3, but it is using that conditional logic. So depending on if Arizona is selected, from our drop down in our variable, then this one will show and it'll continue as 3. If Arizona is not selected, and maybe, if we go back here, we can look, Texas could be selected, then it would not show up as 3, it wouldn't show up as anything because this information isn't going to show up because it is a conditional value there. All right, so that kind of sums up for the different numbering and bulleting there. You do have a lot of options based on that drop down. Let's go ahead here and add in something else. Let's do a couple of new paragraphs here. And as we've discussed before, but you can probably see it as I'm adding this in, when I hit enter, it takes you up to this paragraph title, and paragraphs titles are dependent and depend on what your theme is for your document. So you can set that all up in the team section, but you will see here that the paragraph title is bolded. And if I hit enter again, this is the paragraph body and it is not bolded. And just like we said before, if you wanted to add in one of your variables, which you do by doing this bracket, you can't actually add it into your paragraph title. So you would just need to go ahead and hit that bracket in that paragraph body. And then, you could add in a connected variable or just a regular variable. Let's just go ahead and add this one in. And then, of course, if you wanted this information to be bolded, like the header, you could just bold it right here, and that's not a problem. So we have these now, and now I've decided that I actually want to make these into columns and make them a little bit smaller. So I'm going to come up here and navigate, and whoops, I have to take these off to actually add in the columns. Let me just take these off. So now I can come up here and I can actually make columns. So let's go ahead and add those in. So you can see how this now shrink this area. I'm going to go to my next one. I'm going to do the same thing so you know that I have this information going across. So now you can see that I've added in my columns. As we've discussed in another video, you can't actually add conditionalities to these. I can show you a quick demo just what happens. If you add one in, you will see that it automatically disappears and you can't get it back. So I don't recommend doing that. Let's just go ahead and exit out of there so we don't mess up our template. But now you can see I have the ability to add in text going across here in smaller fields. So maybe if you were trying to create a table, or maybe you just needed, a break of data, you can do that and use the column feature. Right next to the columns, we also have the page break section. This is a relatively new feature released earlier this year in 2003. So when you add this in, you can add, obviously add in a page break where you need one. So let's go ahead and add one in here. And we can also come down here in our paragraphs, and maybe we needed to add in another one here. So you can just add in multiple page breaks depending on what you need and where you kind of need that data broken up. Before, it was typically a web file. So when you were viewing it, it was a continuous scroll. And sometimes in this, it's hard to tell, where this paragraph is going to be in your document until you actually generate that. So this is a really nice feature to add in case you need, very specific data on one page versus another. You can add in those page breaks there. Now, to remove a page break, if you added one in or added one in the wrong spot, you can just click up here on one of your paragraphs where you added it in, and then we can just remove like that. I did want to show you just back here also, as you view this as a PDF, you will see that it will actually have the page numbers, and then it will break that up because, as you know, we deleted the other one that was right around here. So now all that information is on the first page, and then starting with this history paragraph is on the second page there. I also just wanted to show you on this add remove page breaks, since it is a relatively new feature. This is the section type, and then it'll say these are the ones that are currently supported by the page break. So there are a few items that are not supported at the moment to insert a page break. One of them being obviously all these appendix, inline, linked, and signature, those were already kind of on their individual pages. So from there, that's why they're not supported as well. But, your caption, your header, and your paragraph, those are all supported. So from there, let's go ahead and talk about some other options that we have in here. I'm just going to come here and I'm going to add in another paragraph. And if you're adding in another paragraph from the smaller column, I'll show you what happens. It's going to keep making these smaller columns. So if you don't want that to be the case, you can just come up here and you can make this large again, and then that will actually drop down there. So then let's just go ahead and add in another paragraph here. If you wanted to add in a spacer, maybe you wanted to have a few rows open or a blank area in your document, you can also just add in a few of these paragraph bodies. You won't actually see this when you generate the document. It won't say paragraph title, paragraph body. It'll just be blank. You can preview it over here just to see what it's going to look like. And you can see now that there is some space instead of being right up next to each other there. All right, let's talk about a few things over here. So we've already been adding this in by hitting our enter on our keyboard, but if you wanted to, you can also start a new paragraph by coming up here and hitting paragraph. If you wanted to start a header, you can come in here and enter it. Maybe I need to make another document page here. We're just going to put in test, but you can make another header there and insert that. And something to note with this, obviously, you can choose your different headings that are already pre-decided in your theme structure in your teams section. And then you are able to change how it's laid out, and you can obviously move it down. But you can't obviously put it as a bullet point or a number, and this is all locked down because it's already determined by the theme you're choosing. The next thing is caption, which is obviously great for legal documents. If you needed to have the plaintiff's information in here, we can hit verses, and then, we can add in defendant here. You can come over here and we can add in the case number, and then, whatever it needs to be. So that is a great way to separate out and have those like very defined captions that you would have, in complaints or summons or other things like that, maybe pleadings. You can also come over here when you're clicked into one of the captions and you can edit this information. You can actually insert a border. So, a lot of times there are very specific kind of border delineations within there, and we can actually go ahead and do that. Obviously, it's not normally an asterisk, but we can do that. You can add in basically whatever symbol you want. I mean, you can, go from there and add anything in. You can also determine the width. So if we just go ahead and add this back in, this will then move your other caption off a little bit further from that. You can add in borders to this. Maybe you want it surrounded. You can go ahead and mark that in. Let's see what else. We can also come over to this other one if you want it to match. You can do the top and bottom there. You can also do any padding you want. Maybe it's 2 inches there, or, 2, I think it's just the line spacing. So you can just fill that in. You can also fill in the right and the left, depending on how you want to align it. So you have some great formatting tools available to you within this section. And then you can always come over here to the formatting for this paragraph text. If you wanted to change this font, we can also update the color. Let's change it to a different color that's a little bit more fun to look at. So you can update that there. We can have different colors, maybe on this side. You can update the font, and you can also update the line spacing itself. So that's really great, and then we can always reset it back. So that is a great function of the captions. And then next, some of this information, one of the ones that we use a lot is the signature block. So let's go ahead and insert one of those. Signature blocks always go on their own page. There's no way to embed them. Say if you wanted to put it after this number 9, there's no way to do that currently. A lot of other clients, they will use, Outlaw for generations, but if they're needing, or for document generations, but if they're needing to put in, a very specific signature block somewhere, or maybe initials, they'll sometimes use VineSign, just side by side with that. So And you will see here that we inserted a signature block, but there is no place to sign. That is because we currently don't have a party variable in here. So let's go ahead and add one of those in. Let's just come up here. We're going to hit our bracket just like we normally would, and you can either select it here or you could put an @ symbol. So for party variables, obviously just think about it like you're tagging somebody in Filevine or social media, and you would use the @ symbol there. And then we would just make up our variable name. So maybe I want a client to sign on this. So I'm just going to put client in bracket. And then from here, I can update the display name if I wanted to. If I wanted to say like signing client or something like that. If there was plural names there that are going to be, working, we can also update it there as well. And then we can choose anything from this predetermined list. Is this going to be, a display name? Obviously, it gives you a nice little overview right here. I don't think I need to read those to you, but you can also choose legal name, first name, email, any information that you want to use. So let's just go ahead and use the legal name. We're going to hit update on here. Now you can see that we actually have the ability to somebody actually sign here. So that is really great. We can now also go up here and we can delete that off of there, because basically what that was is just going to be another variable that we'd have to fill in. We were just inserting that variable so that we could make the signature block and give them a place to sign. But as we talked about before, you can always, basically delete these off of your template so you don't see them, but they will work in the back end. So that's basically what's happening here. If we come up here, it's showing one unused, but it is now still pulling in to that signature block. So that is just a brief overview on how to do the different formatting within Outlaw, how to add in your captions and headers and signature block. And then the rest of the items that we have over here, we will deep dive into those in their own sections. I hope this was helpful.